Oh man. Howdy. We're gonna be looking at Scourge today. Scourge Prime specifically. I actually used to have the Scourge leveled up, like 6th form or something like that. But I got rid of it way back when because I knew Scourge Prime was about to come out, and then I just never got Scourge Prime. I just got it, what, freaking yesterday, I think? But we finally got it now. It's a pretty interesting weapon. I really like the look of the freaking acid balls it shoots. They're like discs. It's a very satisfying. It's obviously a spear gun. Shoots these little disc ball things that do inherent corrosive damage, have a tad bit of AoE. It has an alt fire to throw it like all spear guns. And this alt fire makes a radius that pulsates and puts little domes on enemies' heads, where if you shoot it, it will track to the head to get a guaranteed headshot. So I'll show that here. There it is. Anywhere in that radius, if you shoot, it is going to be a headshot. And an update they did a while ago, they made it so when you throw the spear gun, it no longer makes it so you have to pick it back up again before you can shoot, right? So as you can see, I'm literally shooting the spear gun while it was on the ground, right? Like I throw it and then it just reloads to make a new one. Now after you throw it, you can see that you have to reload before you can shoot again. But if you throw it and then you dodge, you actually completely skip the reload animation, right? Or if you get staggered by the explosion, it also disables it. So it's actually faster to get staggered by the hits from the explosion than it is to like not get staggered and then have to reload with it. So that's the gist of how the mechanics work. The radius on the little secondary thing lasts 14, or it's sorry, it has a 14-meter range and it lasts 20 seconds, which is pretty good. The stats on the Scourge are honestly the biggest problem with it. We compare it to the normal Scourge, right? It's only got 10% crit chance, which is a huge increase over the 2 that was on the normal version, and then a 2.0 crit multiplier instead of 1.5. Base damage goes from 70 to 80 corrosive on the initial hit and 55 to 60 on the radial attack. Then the throw hit damage also goes up, but that's pretty irrelevant. The throw doesn't do really almost any damage. So other than a slight damage increase and sort of useful crits now-ish, it's not that much better. You can see I still have it built for crit right now. We have Deadhead, because Deadhead's actually nice on it, or at least I personally like Deadhead here. And this is a because it has corrosive at base, we can build viral and have viral with corrosive. So we have viral, corrosive, and heat all at the same time right now. Critical delay. So we have crit chance, even though our crit chance is still pretty mediocre. Obviously, malignant force right rounds, galvanized chamber for multi-shot, crit damage for vital sense, hellfire for heats. You could go a dual stat mob, right? The 60-60 thermite rounds. But even though our stats goes up, we actually lose heat weighting. See, 23.1% chance to apply heat. Whereas if we have this equipped, it's actually a 26.1. Yeah, it's not a lot higher, but it's still a higher chance, and it means we get more damage, and because we have more heat, we have bigger heat procs as well. So I actually prefer Hellfire here. Galvanized Aptitude is nice. It's actually multiplicative on the gun, though it only applies to the direct hit, which makes up a good 60% of the damage, so it's not applying to all of the damage, but I'd still say it's worth putting on the weapon. Prime Shred to help with the negative fire rate from critical lay, and it has a large magazine, so we kind of want good fire rate anyways. And the punch through is also nice to hit more enemies. So we'll reset the enemies here. Oh yeah, and then in case you want to see what I have on Warframe, right? Nothing's affecting my damage here. So the first kill is actually going to be a real pain in the ass because we have no flat damage until we get a kill with Deadhead. So you'll see this, yeah, it's pretty terrible damage, honestly. But that's because we don't have any stacks built up yet. Now we have Gunsteel, but unfortunately it was a kill from our heat proc, so we did not actually proc Deadhead. That's the downside to using heat damage on the weapon. But when you're killing big groups of enemies, you tend to still get headshot kills anyways. So now, there we go. That's the first deadhead stack. Second deadhead stack. There we go. 3 deadhead stacks, and we almost have all of our galvanized multi-shot built up. You can see it's pretty good, and as it starts to strip their armor, it starts doing some pretty hefty damage. It's not bad by any means. There are better weapons, but what makes it nice is the little bit of AoE in the punch through, so if you can group these enemies up, it's actually going to do a lot more damage than what it is right now. And on top of that, you can also always throw this out, so it's easier to get headshots, so you don't actually have to, like, struggle to hit their heads. Which is very, very convenient. Now, a big problem with our damage is that we have, like, a decent crit multiplier, but our crit chance is sitting at a horrendous 30%. That's not that great. But there are ways to fix that. Since it's Haro's signature weapon, you could just go Haro, but, well, not everyone plays Haro, so instead the next best option would be to run Arcane Avenger. Okay, I will switch to Rhino. You can see that, no, actually I can leave Stretch on for 5 run and snare. Arcane Avenger. There we go. Nothing is affecting our damage other than Arcane Avenger. I'm going to put Combat Discipline just in case to keep it more consistent with trying to proc it. Now we will unpause the enemies, make ourselves invincible. And now it should be much easier to get kills. We still will have to build our stacks back up, of course. But with higher crit chance, and I also like actually threw my spear this time to get the easier headshots, it won't be nearly as difficult. Yeah, look at that. I gotta reload. Arcane Avenger's about to run out. There we go. When we get headshots now. 1, 2, 3. That's sick more than 3, but it's got some pretty respectable damage, I'd say. Not bad at all. I do wish that it had a little more AoE, and preferably higher base crit, but it's not something that can't be dealt with. Then when you pull enemies in like this, and then you start hitting them all, you can see it's got pretty great AoE damage going on. These are some chunky enemies, and I'm not stripping their armor at all. And the only thing I was getting buffed by was Arcane Avenger. Now, another option is gas damage. Gas damage is actually pretty effective on this as well. So if you were going to run gas, I would say you don't need Hellfire anymore. Replace Fire rounds with Thermite rounds. And then you're going to want more base damage, preferably, so we can actually switch out and put on Amalgam Serration on, which also makes it easier to get our deadhead stacks going to begin with. I'll leave Avenger on. I might as well just leave Arcane Avenger on. Now we have to build our stacks back up again, of course. And the perk of this is that because it has base corrosive, that helps the gas, but our damage still isn't going to be fantastic at all. But when they get grouped up, because how gas is, it's very juicy. And I mean, there's very few weapons that you can have gas and corrosive on at the same time, on account of there not being a lot of weapons with one of those two at base. I do also wish the reload speed was better. Okay, now we're starting to do more damage. I really should just throw the spear out, that would make things easier, but you know, I'm dumb. There we go. 3, then I'm gonna get a couple more kills just to be sure that we get all of our stacks going. There, yeah, look at that. That's some very respectable damage for being built for gas against thick armored enemies like these guys. Now we're gonna reset them. Resets. I want them to hit me so the Avenger can get proc. There it goes. And now look at this. It's taken a bit, but There it goes. Now it's starting to do the damage. Still not incredible, but I don't think it's a horrible option. A big damage increase here would be if we could strip their armor entirely with 2 green shards. So if you want to commit all the way, the 2 biggest things you can do for the Scourge, outside of, like, you know, putting on Haro, would be obviously Arcane Avenger, like I said, which we have on, and 2 green shards. Arcane Avenger, 2 green shards, and then even better would be applying Viral into the case. So what if we were to say go Pains of Opophyla for consistent viral application? I don't think I have a frame with Ensnare and 2 green shards on, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure if I have any frame at all that has grouping plus green shards. Here, let's see. Archon shards. The only frames I have with green shards are Vobin. Oh, I mean, Vobin's got grouping. The problem is that it, like, ragdolls them, and that's not what we're looking for right now. We don't want them to be ragdolled. Yeah, crappity-appity-wappity. What the heck? What the? Y'all see? What? Where are the heads on all of my frames? What the fuck? That is terrifying. Okay, then. Headless Hildred, what the fuck? Oh, that's so weird. That is so, so strange. Oh, it's AI. I suppose we will just go with... I don't want people to think Saren's doing all the work, right? So we can't use Saren. I'll just slap on Ureli. Go with this build? Yes? Yeah, we still have Avenger, and that's the only thing affecting our damage here. So this should be a good representation of what it can do now. We are going to need to build up our stacks again, of course, as it always goes. I wish you could have a setting to, like, constantly have your damage stacks built up in the simulacrum. That would help so much. Dude, do you... Oh, yes. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The green shards, they make a pretty big difference, to say the least. And so does the viral from our Pains of Opophyla. There, now... Throw that in. We'll reload. Throw that down. Hands are spread as viral, I think, maybe. Oh yeah, look at that. Very good damage. And as you're shooting in the group, it'll be easier to kill the enemies around because even though the AoE damage isn't insane on this weapon, oh my god. It's still, the AoE plus the punch through from Prime Tread easily applies corrosive and gas to all of the enemies around, right? And with corrosive, then you're going to be able to full strip them. I think Scourge is actually a really fun weapon. It's one of the most entertaining weapons I've ever used in the game. It's very, very fun. And it works quite well. Yeah, you have a fair few hoops to jump through if you want to make it really deal damage build-wise. But in mission, right, like, this just happens passively, Panzer Opophyla, same for Augmented, that just happens passively. And Green Shards just happen passively, right? So you don't end up actually having to do much gameplay-wise. You just have to do a bit build-wise to make it work, but it's, with the amount of investment you have into this weapon, it does a lot for how little investment it takes to make it do that stuff, right? Like, if we did the equal investment into a lot of other weapons, they won't get as much value out of it as Scourge does. And you can definitely see it when you use the weapon. It's just so nice having that alt fire thing, right? The spear to get free headshots. It's beautiful. But that's going to be it for the Scourge. I mean, there are other things you can do, but I think the main 2 builds are gas corrosive, right? You could go for something else other than gas corrosive. Let's say you just wanted the pure crit chance from Augmented. You could go gas corrosive electric. That's an option. But I don't know. I don't think that would be as good. I don't have as much interest in that. Oh yeah, something to note would be this thing comes with 4 polarities at base, not counting the Exilus. If we count the Exilus, it has 5. I have 2 Forma, which was this Batterai and this Vazarin. these three mad right here in this Nairmon, and then the mad right and the Exilus were all at base. That's a lot of polarities on a base weapon. A lot of polarities. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Scourge Prime, quite a fun weapon. I think it's probably gonna rise up in my usage list of most used weapons pretty fast because I'm gonna be using this thing a lot. I freaking love it. So if you liked the video, then subscribe and adios.